It has been one of those Fridays, one of the Fridays where there is so many projects on the plate, and I would like to get just about everything done, knowing darn well that's not going to happen, but that's okay. That is not today's topic. That is not it. So let us get a little intro music going, and then we're going to jump into what we're going to talk about today. Afternoon. It's Friday, which means it is time for another episode of Guuuuurl Listen. And of course, I am Gwendolyn 𝐦𝐞𝐚𝐧𝐭. This is my soapbox moment, but these are really good soapbox moments. I'm going to say that. Before I go too far, a couple of things. One, this is streaming live to LinkedIn, and it's also streaming live to YouTube. I know that YouTube is a better experience. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But if you are on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel because it helps. We know all these things help. It all helps. And because it is Friday, not only would I love to know where everyone is tuning in from, either live or in the replay, but it's also... That G is Fire Fridays. Maybe I should get some sort of song created. Some sort of theme music created for that. Perhaps I should. We're going to figure that out. I haven't figured it out yet. But it is. So we start here on my channel with the live edition of Guuuuurl Listen. And then we roll on over to Indie Suit Media at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, for a replay of Guuuuurl Listen. And ladies, listen up. Oh, we're doing a season 2 recap tonight because season 3 is upon us. But we want to recap all the things we have worked on in season 2 before we get into that. Having done all of that and said all that, let's talk about today's topic because things happen. I believe in messages. That's what I believe in. And I believe that when I'm out and about, I'm always observing, picking up subtle messages that become a bigger message or a topic I'm going to talk about. And weeks ago, about a month ago, I decided that I wanted to do a topic on or speak about community. And there was a clip that it played from a previous version, or I should say episode of Small Biz Bites. And the message just resonated. And I waited and waited because I do believe that there are perfect times, something close to perfect times to discuss a message. And so I was waiting for the right time. And now feels like the really best time to talk about it. So our topic today is community is the future. That's today's topic. There is a lot going on. Oh my, a lot going on that I believe if there's anything that is going to save us and keep us grounded, it is going to be our community, or I should say communities, because you can belong to more than one. And shout out to there's my girlfriend, Danny. She's in. Hello. How are you, ma'am? When I sat down and really put things together and talked. I mean, I do talk out loud, so whatever. As I was writing down my thoughts, this clip kept coming back to me. So I want to play the clip. This is from Small Biz Bites. We had Renina Jarmon on our show. She is the founder of Black Girls Are From the Future. And I just asked her, what are some of her parting words?
People, I love bodegas. And so I was in the bodega in my neighborhood, and I had on a hoodie. So this was like earlier in this spring, because it was cold enough, right? Because it's like really hot right now. And the man in the bodega was like, "Okay, so what answer do you have for me?" And I was like, "I know you are not tall. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I'm from East Oakland. Don't do that. Don't do that." And he was like, no, your shirt. You said Black girls are from the future. I was like, oh, my answer is that community is the future. Being able to do anything alone. I didn't say unity. I said community. And I would actually add to that, communities are the future. And I say this because what we have seen over the last 3 years is a very specific way that some vulnerable people have been thrown away. Right? And I think that Black communities across the country are grappling with who is and is not included in whatever the tent of Black peoplehood is considered, and who is a member and who is not. And so I think about that, and I would like for us to consider community being the future. That's what I would like to leave with.
You know, if I had a mic, I'd drop it. I mean, if I had a mic, I'd drop it. Oh my goodness. Thank you, everybody who is tuning in now. You know, I feel extremely blessed to have guests that just bring their genius, just absolutely bring their genius to us every single time. And when I think about where we are today, I'm not gonna say that there feels, there's clearly we're in a defining moment where there are some people who would much rather return this place to a time where a number of people were oppressed and without. And there's a good majority that is not going to get down with that. We're just not going to do it. But I am certain that to keep us sane, we're going to have to rely on our communities. And as she mentioned, it's not about being united. It's about having things aligned. And there is a difference there, because getting everybody to agree is that's a different thing. But there is a way for us to work together. So I want to share a couple of stories. One, I am really in my James Baldwin season. He is keeping me anchored. He says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Now. Don't know exactly when that time's going to come, but, we can work on it. Clearly, we are dedicated to working on it. And there are so many things that we have to work on until we are ready to look at it and get into the nitty-gritty of it. Some of this is not going to change. Now, I myself have not tuned into a lot of TV or social media. I'm about to start my tech disconnect. And I don't do a lot to begin with, but that's here nor there. At the end of the day, I am careful about what messages I'm taking in. So I don't need to hear things that are just straight foolishness. It doesn't do anything for me. But I have come to realize that where I'm finding solace, where I'm finding my safe space, is among my community. Now, people think about community, and you immediately think about your neighbors and where you live. But community can be something so much smaller than that. It can be where values align. It can be a place where you and others come together over, could be a hobby, could be any other interest. It could be, again, a value you all share. Maybe there is one particular thing you are working towards. All of these things provide typically a safe space. And looking at the world we're in, and I'm just going to go with the US, there are some really lonely people in this world. And I keep going back to when the hubs and I go out, and we don't go ever, but when we do, I can't help but see people knee deep in their phone. There's not enough conversation happening at the table. Now, I don't mind taking a picture of my dish because, I am active on Google Maps. I get that. But at some point, you got to put it down and talk to each other and really get invested in the person that you're with. Like, you're in the present. So why not be in the present with the person that you're with or the persons? Now, back in 2009, 2010, I was going through some things. I was going through a lot. Let me just say it like that. Going through a lot. And I stumbled upon the Marcus Garvey Liberation Garden in Houston. Now, I'm born and raised in Houston. However, I was living in Arlington at the time. And I would say, I'm not going to would say, we were depressed. I was depressed. I was extremely unhappy. Didn't know what to do with myself. Had all the bad thoughts going through my head. You have no idea. Unless you probably have been there. If you've been there, then you understand. It was dark. Let's say it was dark. I was so unhappy that I would leave work on a Friday and drive to Houston because it was just that bad for me. Typically, when you're feeling that bad, you're trying to find some place that brings some normalcy, and that was home, as in my parents' home. What can I tell you? But I stumbled upon the Marcus Garvey Liberation Garden, and Kavanaugh Nui, he was pretty much it, but he opened it up. It was a community garden, and you could come in and volunteer to help in this garden. And the food that was being grown there was grown with love and care for the community that it was in. Now, I'm going to step on a bigger soapbox really quick. And for those who feel some kind of way, you can feel some kind of way. I recall during the election, a lot of folks spoke about leaving the U.S. And at the end of the day, everybody can't leave the U.S. But also, too, and I hate to use the word irritates, but I'm going to use the word irritates. What irritates me is that sometimes, instead of fighting for what you want, we like to grab and go. Cut and run. I'm not judging you. That's what you want to do, so don't take it that way. But somebody has to fight for something, for whatever it is. Like, whatever you want, understand, you got to fight for it. If you want something better, you're going to have to fight for it. And I know there are people who will stick with the status quo. There are people who will be right in the middle. They're not going to pick a side. They may benefit from whatever comes out, but they're not going to pick a side. And then there are those of us who want to fight and make the change. Kavanaugh wants to fight and make the change. You know, he was in an area that had some grocery stores, but check it. You know, some of the food that we have, and people talk about the things that are modified and this, that, and the other. Okay, great. Well, there are options to that. You can grow your own. And I understand where you get your seeds makes a difference. I understand that too. So I'm not speaking out of no place. But if you want to see that change, you're going to have to look at it, face it head on, and make the move. I didn't live in Houston. And yet and still, I found myself finding a safe space, tending to this garden that served a community in Houston. I didn't even belong to this community. But that garden was open for everybody to come in, tend to it, and benefit from some really good produce. We grew everything there, everything. I'm 4 hours away, and I was part of this community. So I often speak that, you know, if you want to belong to something, you're going to have to open yourself up to being vulnerable. That's one. But you also have to be intentional. Sometimes we move in places, we move with a focus on ourselves. Do you benefit from being part of a community? Yes, you do. But you got to bring something too. You just can't come to the cookout with a plate and eat up everything and leave. That's not cool. Nobody wants that. But what we get from making the change, from looking for a different way of living, what we get from providing something different and new for those around us. Everybody benefits, including the person who wanted to see the change, including those who hang out in the middle. Everybody benefits from this fight, from this change. I love a garden. I don't have one of my own. I'm not that green in the thumbs. I'm not that green. I would love a garden, but I know where my skills stop. Perhaps if I put more energy into it, I could, but I don't have that kind of energy. I know, it's weird, right? So I want to talk about me growing roots in the city that I'm in, which is Arlington. And again, having been in a situation that was kind of funny, I decided to find my roots in Arlington. And I ended up supporting the Tarrant Area Food Bank, which I'm sure you guys have heard, that is my charity of choice. And so one of my first assignments was to participate in a mobile food drive. This is last summer to be exact, hotter than all get out. But there were cars upon cars of working families that had lined up since 5 o'clock that morning to receive meals for their family and others, because you could have up to 6 families per car. And I thought to myself, wow, like this is something big. And having been a person who has experienced homelessness and food insecurity a couple of times in my life, this is where I find, again, a safe space and where I put a lot of my energy into reducing food insecurity and reducing food waste. I want to say that too. Reducing food waste. And what I love about the Tarrant Area Food Bank is that they are serving multiple counties, right? They're serving 13 to be exact, 13 counties to be exact. And they do it in a way that for those who are currently experiencing food insecurity, they don't lose their dignity. They're not embarrassed. They can get what they need, both dry goods and your fresh vegetables, milk, eggs, things of that nature. They are serving so many communities. And I'm extremely honored, very honored to be part of that community and to be active in making this area better than what it is. If what has been proposed from the next administration comes into play, if it actually happens, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to need the assistance of a number of organizations such as this, a lot. And I go back to the garden, right? Because not only are they providing food, but they have a garden where, again, fresh food is being grown, okay? Growing fresh veggies, fruits, growing these right now to help multiple families. I don't think people understand that if you want to see something different, you're going to have to do it. You have to do it. Now, it doesn't have to be you. Clearly it doesn't have to be, but somebody has to want it. I was at a charity event for them yesterday, and it was a young lady, a senior in high school right now, who wanted to bring a food bank to Denton County. Talked to her counselor, and they said, wow, that's a really great idea. Let's scale it down a little bit. Let's just do one of the food stores, the food banks in the school, and then we can grow it from there. And when we say it's a store, people come in and they can shop a store like they normally would any other place, but pick up goods, food that will be safe on the shelf for a number of months, right? Like beans, potatoes, other dry goods. And I thought, wow, here this there's a senior in high school who is looking at the world she's living in, and she has decided, I need to do something to help those who are around me. All right? You have to know that it comes from a place of, I don't like what I see right now. What can I do? When we talk about joining, creating, aligning with the community, in my opinion, are there going to be some dark days ahead? Possibly. I mean, for the little news I have picked up, there is a circus of characters being given positions that, I thought to myself, must be nice to be mediocre and still get along in the world. Still find a way to rise to the top. Must be nice. We're going to need each other a lot. And I am suggesting that all persons find a community, create one, if you will. I know there are people that love to knit, people love to crochet, there's gardeners, there's many ways that you can get active in a community. There's too many of us that are alone and lonely. And if all the things that were proposed these past couple of months come into play, not even all, if some of those things come into reality, like if they are carried out, it's going to be really dark here. I don't think people are not aware of just how bad it's going to be. We say a lot of stuff without really thinking about how we are all connected. We are truly all connected. Now, I am not. Shout out to Jessica. You know what? It's okay. There's a replay button for a reason. Don't worry about it. But hello to you too. When I was in the garden, and I look at all the gardens, I like to sit and just, observe life. I'm not a fan of snakes or worms. Most things that don't have like visible legs, I'm not a fan of it. But I understand that they all have a purpose in the bigger scheme of things. People may not like bees, but without the bees, who are clearly not faithful, without the bees going from flower to flower to flower, we wouldn't get what we needed. Like those bees are working. They're working out there. They are doing what they have to do, right? Like everybody has a part to play. So when we talk about our society and we promote removing people that we don't believe belong, we don't understand how that impacts the bigger picture across the board. We don't really stop to say to ourselves, okay, now what? Now what are you going to do? Because you need every single person. Prime example, a few years back, 2019, about 2019-ish, I was reading about how San Francisco had a labor problem. They had gotten to the place where full-time employees could not afford any kind of housing in the city. And you had people who had full-time jobs living in their car. The wage gap was so out of whack that you have people who are living in their vehicle, driving across the border into California to come to work, to do XYZ jobs. It's hard to open a restaurant and serve people when you don't have people to wash the dishes. You don't have any wait staff. You don't have any cooks. You don't have any, somebody has to do that. Now, you can be the owner, but you can only do so much. You can't do it all. One person cannot do it all. Think about 2020 when we had to shut down. And yes, I believe in science, trust. I'm going to come back to that real quick. But when they reopened, a lot of restaurants had to reopen on a smaller scale because without people, without staff, you don't have a restaurant. You can't be open in the evening hours or the morning hours if you don't have people to operate the register and, again, cook, clean, all the things that we just think happen because they happen. They require people. It requires people. You may not like the people because for whatever reason you got something, like I said, you can always get on your knees, talk to management. But we just don't understand how interconnected we are. Everybody has a purpose here. And we are all in this together. Every single one of us. So when we talk about stuff without really thinking about how it impacts ourselves, if you just want to be selfish, we should probably stop and think about it. And shout out to Black Eighth Element who is showing up. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. So thinking ahead, because again, there's a cast of characters, a hodgepodge of whatever, that have been tasked with leading in some form of fashion. And funny enough, when I talk about believing in science and I love cruising, we just got out of COVID, a couple of years ago? And it absolutely baffles me that, again, people want to get on a ship and not wash their hands. I don't care what you do at your house, okay? I don't care what you do in your home. You don't have to wash your hands and all this other stuff. I don't care. However, when you are getting on a ship or going out in public, why don't you, for once, do what everybody else does and wash your hands? Not one, but two ships had to be shut down for a hot minute at a port to be extra cleaned because of gastrointestinal outbreaks. Because people, nasty humans, won't wash their hands. Now, you don't have to believe in science, but guess what? Science will teach you that it's real when you can't keep your meal down. And it spreads like wildfire, right? Because when you touch something and someone behind you touches that and then they touch it, that sucker spreads. It's like a wildfire. It spreads. Again, you don't have to believe in science, but science will teach you, as it always will. I go back to this. In order for us to get through what's about to go down, we are going to need our communities. We are going to need a place where our values align. I don't care what your values are, because even people who believe in hate have a right to get together and be miserable. But find your safe space. Find it now. A place where you can go and have your inner peace, be able to share what you have to share and not be judged. Find that place. We are going to need those places. I love to get into the garden. I love helping out at the charity events. It's what I do because that brings me inner peace and peace of mind. It's good for my heart to be around other good people who don't want to see other people without. Find your space. Looking at Jessica's comment. People are dirty. That's why you can't eat everyone's cooking. You already know. I come from the Houston household, the Clarence Houston Jr. household. We don't eat everybody's food because I don't know nothing about your kitchen. So no. But I don't know why we're still having that conversation. 4 years later, we are back to telling people, wash your hands and cover your mouth. Why? Why? So let me go back to this as we wrap this up. As I mentioned, the Tarrant Area Food Bank is my charity of choice, and I do a year-round food drive. So you'll see it. I'm always talking about it. If you follow me on Instagram or on, I think, Threads, we have shared a couple of posts about it. But I do a year-round food drive. Food insecurity is not just around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Please understand that. I know everybody thinks about it then. It's all the time. There are a number of kids who get their 2 meals a day at school, breakfast and lunch. But thanks to charities like the food bank, they send kids home with dinners as well. And I believe that we are about to see some tough times here, people. It's about to get ugly for us. This is the time where we got to get together to make sure that we can do what we have to do. This is not some blue sky kind of thought here. This is real. This is real. It is about joining as one and realizing that we're all in this together. You're only as strong as your weakest link. The human experience was, in my opinion, not designed to be experienced alone. Life is good with other good humans. Find you some good people. Find you some good people. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. But now is the time to find it. Now is that time. So I will leave you with this because we're wrapping up this season. This is our second to last episode. Yes, because next week we are doing Turkey Day Food Wars. Yeah, I'm going to bring it. We are going to have some good fun discussions about what you're serving for your Thanksgiving dinner. You know, are you a cornbread dressing kind of person, or are you a stuffing person? Are you a pumpkin pie or a sweet potato pie? I got all the details. I have all the eats. I got a menu of eats. We'll do a couple of polls to see what's what. But we're going to do Turkey Day Food Wars next week as we wrap up our season. Might as well end it on a fun note, right? May as well end it on a fun note. And who doesn't like talking about turkey? Like what time is dinner? Is it dinner or is it lunch? You know, I know in my parents' house, we'd even have breakfast. We just had to wait for dinner, lunch to be served. That's what we had to do. Thank you. You know, these are my new readers. These are my new readers here. Don't you love them? I got them specifically because they coordinated with the colors of this show. Is that not awesome? Now that I have these beautiful readers, I don't mind wearing my contacts as often. Although I really do still have some very nice glasses. Yeah, I know. These are they not the cutest? Glitz Optical, people. Glitz Optical. Well, let me just say that, but these are adorable. Okay, with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in now or in the replay, because there is a replay, you know, this is what this is. Again, I hope you all tune in next week for the Turkey Day Food Wars. I would love to know what some of your traditions are, as well as what you may be cooking or may be enjoying. I am cooking here for my family. I got my things together. I have most of my things together. I'm cleaning the house right now because I do so many recordings all over the house. There are lights and all kinds of foolishness all over this house. Like even in this room, I mean, I just vacuumed up the last of the confetti this Sunday. I just vacuumed up the confetti, the last of it. But now that company's coming, me too, Daddy. I'm ready for next week. Now that company's coming, I got to get things together and put stuff back to where I can entertain family. So I'm excited. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Let's see, did I cover everything? Yes. All right. If you're still with us later on today, hop on over to 𝐸𝐷𝐸 Media at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. She's still fighting. Let me tell you, that confetti, it floats in the air. So, you know, if you're wearing slippers or something, that sucker floats. And it's just, I found some pieces today as well as I'm still vacuuming. But I love confetti. You can't get enough confetti. Can't get enough. But we are going to be on 𝐸𝐷𝐸 Media tonight. 7 o'clock Eastern is where we start with the replay of Guuuuurl Listen. And we have our season 2 recap of Ladies Listen Up. That's what it is. You guys enjoy the weekend. See you next week. Thank you for watching another episode of Guuuuurl Listen. Be sure to tune in every other Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we also invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.